We are losing species as we speak.
To lose different kinds of species because of our negligence is probably one of the worst reflections of what we can actually do in this world.
It used to be that the oceans were so plentiful, and it didn't seem like it should be a problem.
There's something really magical about trying to understand animal behavior and trying to understand the world through another perspective.
I'm Lynette Coftenow. I'm the president of the San Francisco Bay American Cetacean Society. And our organization, our national organization, is the oldest whale conservation organization in the world. It began back in 1967. One of the things that is so important, and I think we need to know more and more about, is the plastic pollution that is happening in the ocean. It became a thing where plastics became the norm. Well, unfortunately, they end up in the ocean and they will become either entangled around, be it a bird, a cetacean, a seal, a sea lion. This can either hamper their travel and swimming and eating and cause a slow death. With birds, as the plastics are in the water and as the sun's beating down on them, they break up and they become these little bits, and a bird will see them, and also fish, and they will end up thinking it's food and picking it up and either ingesting it themselves, or with birds, mother birds, taking it to their chicks. And then they will, die from it because they're thinking they're full and they actually have no food. So this is a very important one for people to become aware of and change, not using plastics and using something that you can use time and again, or else something that's biodegradable. One of the big problems that we have with cetaceans is fishing gear. What happens is we get everything from these long lines that can be catching your birds, your fish, your top predators, and what happens is the cetaceans will become enwrapped in these, and it slows down their swimming abilities, their eating abilities, cuts into them, and it can cause a slow death. One of the other things that I would like to talk about is climate change that we have so seen happening. This is with the ice melts that are occurring, especially both the poles are being so affected, and shipping areas are opening up that were not there before. Also, you have with this, then it's bringing in energy companies that are wanting to do more energy exploration. All of this is detrimental to the cetaceans and the wildlife. If we don't work on these issues, and people are now, and governmental agents are working on them also, it's very important that we are aware of all these issues at this point, because we really can make a change. We really need to work on these, because otherwise we are losing species as we speak. And if we have lost certain species, then that balance in the biodiversity in our oceans and terrain will be out of balance, and we're seeing it in certain areas already. So I think I think that's the main point.
My name is Constance Taylor, and I am the founder of Wild Oakland. And what we do with Wild Oakland is we provide free environmental education to urban adults. One of the more charismatic species that's being pushed out of the bay is the burrowing owl. The burrowing owl is one of the, if not the only raptor in the world that lives underground. They do not live in trees or roosts at all. What they do is they move into abandoned burrows that California ground squirrels made, and that is where they nest, and that's where they live year-round. And so the irony is these owls are actually really, really good at living in close proximity to humans. One of the largest populations in the Bay Area is in Mountain View, and outside of the Mountain View population, we have very, very, very small populations at the Berkeley Marina and at Martin Luther King Jr. Shoreline. And by small populations, I mean maybe 2 or 3 nesting pairs per year. Like that's almost non-existent. Now, burrowing owls are slowly being extirpated, which means they're becoming extinct in the Bay Area, and this is where most of the human development is. And so we're not leaving any space for these burrowing owls. They need habitats to nest in, and they also need habitat to forage in. They forage and nest in different habitats, and we're not leaving enough of either. So definitely human development, building buildings on grassland or filling in wetlands is definitely one of the biggest issues that wildlife face. There's no reason that it's not important. Everything that we do affects everything else around us. Ecologies, including these incredibly built, maintained urban structures that we live in that seem so permanent, it's all part of the ecology. And, you know, ecologies are like a spider web. You pull on one part of them and the entire thing shifts. Becoming educated, making, you know, small changes in your own life. Don't use rodenticides if you have a mouse problem. Maybe if you have a big mouse problem, you can set up a barn owl box outside and attract barn owls to your house or to your backyard. You can plant native plants in your backyard to make it more of a wildlife habitat. You can give money to organizations who are doing things if you don't have time. Gosh, what else can people do? Just keep an eye on things and be aware of what's going on in your surroundings. It's really, you know, there are so many things happening all over the world. However, it's also important to look into things in our own backyard. For example, how are mountain lions being persecuted in California? How are wild wolves being persecuted in Oregon or Montana? And all of these native Californian animals, it's really easy to get distracted by things that get more media attention. And yeah, be creative about it. Be creative, you know, write a comic and, you know, send it off to the newspaper. There's a million things that you can do. I mean, you can write your state legislator, you can be involved in the more political aspect. If you're interested, you will find a way to be involved, and any way is a good way. There's no incorrect way to be involved.
I just really encourage people to always be learning and aware of what's going on, and really see the bigger picture. Sometimes I think it's so hard because we're so busy, and all of a sudden, be it like we're used to see so many butterflies, all of a sudden you're not seeing them, let alone, you know, all the bird species and our exquisite oceans. Being here in the Bay Area, we are so fortunate to have so many ecosystems and so many species, be it terrain or marine species. We don't want to lose that, and we don't want to lose it around the world.
They are important to our collective imagination, and to lose different kinds of species because of our negligence is probably one of the worst reflections of what we can actually do in this world. Everything everything has a right to exist, and we take up so much space. We need to really start thinking about leaving space for non-human species.
Really, it's amazing what a person is able to do when you put your mind behind it. It makes a change.